up and downward movement of the waves to move a magnet in between coils. So say the duck here, it has a stick coming out of it, the duck moves up and down, and it causes the magnet here to move up and down through this coil to make electricity. It can be done in loads of different ways. The only reason why it's called Duckgen because it has a duck. It could be called loads of different things if you want. And
okay, so this is going to be how to make the Duckgen. So how to make the Duckgen is you need a few things first. You need a test tube wrapped in 20 gauge magnet wire, wrapped about 100 times with 2 bits hanging off the end. Okay, you can use some sellotape to keep it on if you want to. Okay, then you need a piece of wood, which is about the width of whatever container you're going to use. So I'm using a pretty big box, and you'll see it in a minute once I've this made, to test this in. So mine is 44 centimeters across. You need a wooden dowel. Actually, you need a skinny wooden dowel, which is also 40 centimeters across. And this one here is 5 millimeters wide, diameter. And then it's 44 across, long. And then this one here is shorter. That's because that's the length of your box. So this one has to be a lot shorter than the length of your box, maybe about 20 centimeters shorter than the length of your box, so it doesn't hit off the edges. And this one here, it's much thicker. It's about 1.5 centimeters, with 2 holes going through this way, so straight across, and then 1 hole going straight up at the other end. Okay, so that's that. And you can spread them out as long as the middle hole is in the middle. It works. Then you need 2 smaller dowels. Now these smaller dowels are actually very small. They're only 22 centimeters. I was using the measuring tape to check them. Only 22 centimeters. You can make them the same length. These are a little bit off, but 22 centimeters should do you fine. And the reason why is you need these to go from your water level up to the test tube, and you'll see what I mean later about that too. Okay. Then the other thing you need some elastic bands. You really only need 2 elastic bands. Okay, so 2 elastic bands should do you fine. We'll put these other ones away for a minute, and then we need 1 cable tie. I have 2 in case I break this one, because it happens a lot because these are really flimsy cable ties. But any kind of cable tie will do. You just need it in a while. And then you need a float. It can be a rubber duck, it can be anything. We're just using rubber ducks for the sake of the name, but it could be anything that floats and you can attach to this pole in some way. And then you need a magnet. I have my magnet stuck to a box here, so there's a magnet. I don't know if you can see that. I'll bring it up close. This is called a neodymium magnet. Neodymiums work the best because they give the strongest magnetic thing. I don't even think this would work with a really weak normal like fridge magnet or anything. You'd probably need at least a rare earth magnet. Well, neodymium is rare earth magnet, but anyways, you need one there. Okay. And then you need a multimeter to measure your readings at the end, and a container with some water, and you'll see the container with water once I build this. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to cut to when this is built, and then I'm going to describe it afterwards. Okay, so that'll work. Okay, so I made the Duckgen now, and there's basically only 3 parts once you finish making it. So one part, it's kind of, see there, it looks like this. Okay, so you have one of the shorter dowels going up through the back here, through the hole that was going up, with a magnet on top. Now to get the magnet attached to the top of this, I just put a thumbtack in the top of the dowel, and then you just stick your magnet on top like that, and then you got your magnet on top of the stick. In the middle here we have another smaller wooden dowel going through the middle hole, which was perpendicular to this. Then you've got this big dowel all the way along, and at the front then we just cable tied our duck to the front of the pole. Okay, so he's hanging on there, and he's going to make our whole thing float a bit better. Okay, and then the other 2 bits was just the bigger piece of wood with the test tube with the wire attached to it. Now I wound the wire around this to just hold the test tube in place. You could use a bit of tape for that if you want, or a bit of blue tack.
And then this also here then was just the last bit of stick. Now this isn't attached to anything, but I'm going to show you how to set it up now on a tank. So basically what you do is you get your piece of wood with your test tube, just a little bit, just put it on the top here, just a little bit from the end here, so there's a little bit of a gap. Then you're going to get this other one and stick it across the middle. So this middle one here, it's kind of hard to see, is right there in the middle, so there's this much of a gap in between them. And then the duck and stuff are going to sit underneath this on the water surface. So this is water down here, if you want to see the water. Okay. On the water surface, and then that should have the magnet sitting just about in the coil of the test tube up here. So you can kind of see the magnet just go inside the coil up here. Now it's very foggy this time. We'll give it a rub so you can see it a bit better. But you can see the duck is floating on the water, and that's hanging up there. Now just to keep the duck a bit straighter, that's what this middle pole was for. We're going to hang some elastic wires off of that, hang them in here, and then we're going to put our duck hanging on them. So using that middle dowel that we have. So now he's on the water surface, so if we move the water here, he moves a little bit. You can see him kind of going up and down. You can see our waves here happening on the side. And this is another way of making energy. It's called wave energy, and this one here is the PLA. It's called a point load absorber, and it's basically just a really small version of a point load absorber. Okay, so this is the Duckgen. Okay, so what we're going to use to measure the electricity it's making is this thing called an oscilloscope. Sorry, not an oscilloscope. You could use an oscilloscope, but this thing here is called a multimeter. Sorry. So we're going to use a multimeter to measure it. You set it to the lowest voltage setting. So on mine it is millivolts, so you can see it over here. It's just on this side, and then you got your two diodes on the other end to measure things. So you put them on to the end of the other wires up here, and that will give us our electricity. So I'm just going to move around to the other side so you can see it a bit better, so don't block it off. Okay, so we're going to hold these on the wires up here. So these are the multimeter wires. You can kind of see them down here. Okay, I'm going to hold them on the wires. Okay. And then you should see the numbers start to jump up. And that's because there's small little waves happening in the tank anyway. So if we give it a shake, there you go. You see the numbers went up a bit higher? And that's because the waves are going bigger and stuff. So, okay, so that's how that one works.